Hello everyone and welcome to Funky This News Time. Before I give out the message I have for you today, I would like to thank each and every one of you who has taken the time to listen and to comment on my very first video I posted on this platform. Thank you and God bless. So let's get into the topic of today. As you can see from the topic of today, it is a very hot topic. And I would like to say enough is enough to the Chinese people and to all my beloved Africans to boycott China and the Chinese fake goods. Boycott China and boycott them to save the African continent. Africans must remember that before the Chinese came, we were surviving. Even now that we have to boycott them, we will survive it. They came not to better your lives, but to steal, kill, and destroy. As you can see from the topic, it is boycott China to save the African continent. As at the beginning of this year 2020, there was a pandemic breakout from China, and that was on the virus called the coronavirus, COVID-19, from Wuhan, China. It was creating a lot of victims right there in Wuhan, China. But all they did was to hide it from the world. Not even their president could come out to tell the world about the deadly virus until the US President Donald J. Trump made a speech on a ban to the Chinese nationals that all flights from China should be stopped from entering the US, which a lot of people came out for him, especially the world media. That initial ban was supposed to be a great help to the US and to the world at large. If the ban had taken place as at that time, we wouldn't have this huge amount of victims from US, Spain, Italy, and as well as the rest of the world. Now, my take on the WHO, which is the World Health Organization. The World Health Organization's job is to protect the well-being of the entire world, not of a special or a specific country. They made a lot of controversial statements during the period of the coronavirus. The Chinese-made virus, COVID-19, created and distributed by them. The World Health Organization at the beginning said that this virus was not transmittable from human to human. And the world believed them. Then the Chinese people also said the same thing to the nations of the world. But today, as we can see, this Chinese-made virus can be transmitted from human to human. So who is telling who the truth? Now the whole world is being infected with this deadly virus, which is killing people everywhere. Some are striving to survive, and others are dying all over the world. And some still say you cannot call it a Chinese virus. What a hypocritical world. I mean a fake world where people do not like the truth, especially the world media, exception of a very few group of media who are used to give out the truth to the people, because as you can see, they're on the side of the people. Anytime you dare call it a Chinese virus, they give you names like racist, homophobic, etc. But when Ebola took place in Africa years back, it was African virus and it was accepted to the whole world. But today, we cannot say coronavirus year 2020 is a Chinese-made virus. But I'll do and will forever say the same thing. It is a Chinese-made virus. Whether the president of China or the people of China comes out to admit it or not, this virus came from Wuhan, and Wuhan is in China. So there are evidences of videos and pictures everywhere. Now, let us come to the victimization of the Africans by these same Chinese people who intentionally created and distributed this virus to the world in this year 2020. Africans are not culpable of what they created. Hundreds of thousands of people have died of this disastrous virus from all over the world. A virus the Chinese created. Now the blame has to be on the black man who know nothing about this pandemic. And now they even have the guts to treat Africans in China less than animals. We have seen pictures and videos where Africans are being thrown out of their various houses. They are being thrown out of their hotel rooms. We even had people testifying to the fact that blacks that are married to the Chinese were being thrown out of their marriages because of this same made in China virus that was intentionally, I repeat, created in their own lab in Wuhan and was distributed to the world. In fact, look at China. Africans, be wise. Do what is right for yourselves and get your due respect from the world. Take your destinies into your hands and save your continent. Do not hope on your African leaders who go to China to borrow. They borrow from World Bank. They borrow everywhere without a proper plan to pay back. African leaders are so senseless, wicked, evil. They are brainless, and I am not apologetic about that. They don't care about you, so they can borrow and never think of your well-being. African leaders, as you can see, are not even ready to speak up on this disastrous virus. They are not ready to speak up because they are scared of the Chinese. What the Chinese can do to them. Let me say to all Africans all over the world and remind each and every one of us once more that we have had a long history of suffering after the colonial masters dealt with us. And now we place our hopes on our leaders, good for naughty leaders. They are now worse than the people who colonized you. Fellow Africans, I say once more, boycott China and everything that comes from China to save your continent. We must do that and do it now. We have to go back to the drawing board so that we can take our destinies into our own hands. Let us learn how to create things, do things, and never hope on these African leaders that has never been helpful to the continent. I would like to say a big thank you once more to everyone who followed my very first post. And this also is a message that we all need to learn from. Like I said, we have a long history of suffering. Our forefathers suffered the slave trade. The colonial masters did what they did to us. We later placed all our hopes on our leaders, and they have failed us. Why they cannot speak today? Because they are all compromised. They have sold their souls to the devil. They have borrowed so much from the world and from the Chinese that they can no longer speak. They are now voiceless. They cannot say, even when their people are being killed, slaughtered all over the world, they cannot say enough is enough. If the leaders cannot do this, we the Africans, we the new generations, should start to think for ourselves. And we have to get rid, if possible, of these brainless leaders. They are good for nothing. They have no help to render to you. So we have to keep that in mind and say enough is enough to our African dictators. In fact, they are all dictators, all the leaders we have in Africa. Even the ones that hide themselves under democratic rulership, they are all dictators. So let us say enough is enough to the Chinese and every product that comes from China. Let us boycott them. Let us say enough is enough to our African leaders. And let us rise up to every kind of evil leadership in Africa to save the African continent. Thank you for giving me your time, and God bless each and every one of you. Bye.